Okay, so here we are on Axis Empires hitting what amounts to the first summer turn, and I noticed an error I've made tactically, strategically, whatever, just a decision error in terms of the cards played. A couple of the cards I discarded, let's take in particular looks, to support the nationalists, for example. Well, this was historically played in spring of 37, but I could get these Civil War events going all through the summer, and the summer is longer, and similarly, maybe with the, well, that one's not so important, but it would be kind of nice to get those events happening on the longer summer actions. Now, this is a weird situation that I didn't realize until just now, or until last turn, basically, but now I'm seeing it, where I only got two events two attempts to roll for those events in the spring, and now I'm in the summer and I'll get 3 attempts, and it kind of disturbs me with that. And I've seen now what have I actually done while I did this food shortages, which probably has what probably amounts to a bad political event. I didn't want to play this now except for the economic program, canceled it out. But I'm not going to get any bonus political events off of that for the Japanese. And over here, well, this one's a little more interesting, the Goering Works, which will give me some additional infantry steps and some extra buildup of troops during each turn, because the conditional events fire off every turn. So I get a bonus off of that, although maybe I would have wanted to have played a little differently, knowing what I was getting. Try to play for the win over, say, in the Spanish War. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm going to have to pick some new events, but we got some big troops off the Goering Works. A lot of armor being built and added to the Axis force pool there. And then the food shortage event added some more units to the force pool in the Japanese side. Now, I could have taken this in the winter, as was historically done, in fact, much later winter. I wanted to get this out of the way because a lot of cards rely on this one, so I want to have the option to play more things earlier. And since I have the economic program in place, hey, I don't suffer the effects for it. I think that's about it at this point. For the Western Allies, I played the Cooling Declaration, which created some of these forces from Kiangsu. Not that one, but added some additional ones into the delay box. I also got a lucky roll here, an influence roll on the Chinese diplomacy. Neutral Chinese country. Well, I picked Hopei and put a Western influence there. And that's kind of anti-historical here, but the idea is that, well, Hopei is close to the Japanese. I want to try to prevent them from moving in a pro-Japanese fashion. You might say Kiangsu makes more sense. It would be horrible if the Japanese get control of that, and that's definitely a worry here. I probably should have played it in Kiangsu, but we'll see. It feels funny because the counters are already associated with the Western forces, but I think they can be aligned there. And for the French, change of government over here, which gives them additional infantry steps, and I've increased what they hold on the line here. And they're getting some actual decent infantry units, possible for an intervention in Germany maybe. For the Soviet turn, things took a kind of strange turn. They played the pact with China, and got some additional Kansu forces over here in the delay box to improve the strength of that. Then they rolled on the political events table and got the colonialism table. Went over there, wrote something which went to minor country politics. Now, when I looked up the rules for minor country politics, they're kind of weird. It looked like they kind of favored the Axis, but I had to keep going with it. So I went in China anyway. Ended up with Hopei, and that ended up boning the recent Allied improvement there. in the condition. The collective security card, which they also played, gave them some infantry steps, essentially, and also limited their choices later in the war. They're going on with that warmer, fuzzier Soviet Union, and then on the events table, nothing showed up for the politics. I'll finish up their turn, move on to the Western. Wait, I should have done the Western first. No, I did the Western, I was. Huh, okay. Well, I just got to fill out their cards, I guess. Yeah. I get confused very easily. So I finished picking the choices for next turn for the Russian plays. And one thing, though, I wanted to notice, the production cards I put, they're the only ones who've played production cards. Well, everybody else has, but they haven't been taken effect. I'm putting under the deck to mark, hey, this has been done already, and it's out of the way for this year's production. I am running into a worry here. So some of the cards require prior plays. For example, this one says one of the card 5s has been played. Well, that's easy enough to see, but in some cases it may be possible that some cards may not be clear that they've been played yet, or whether they've been discarded. And I've got to worry about that. I've got all my discards over here in this kind of pile. I don't know what's been played and what's been discarded by that. And maybe I want to keep 2 separate piles for those 2 things. Anyway, that's pretty much the end of this turn. I got to move my Russians forward to position them a little better. And get them closer to the Japanese threat. But beyond that, that's really all that's happening this turn. And we move the marker forward yet again, and we'll be getting some convoys there and over here. Nothing much here. As you can see, not much is happening though in this early stage, this pre-war period. Once things heat up a little, things will be different, but it's tough to make demands because they could backfire, and it's kind of frightening if you don't have any force to back it up. So I don't want to do that quite yet. You could do them. Germany certainly made some early risks, but I'm a little more cautious than that. I don't think the game will completely ream you for making those risks, but it may put you in a weaker position at the start of the real shooting. Okay, so a bit of a follow-through on the second summer turn. Not a lot really happened. Some of the cards still had effects, but otherwise there's just really nothing else to go on. The Japanese, their card doesn't affect them anymore at this point. The Western cards didn't have much effect. There was a unit produced for the French, and the Germans got an additional unit as well in their conditional events. The Russian cards, they again triggered off events, however. Actually, I believe the Allies did too. We've got Kangsu took the Western influence marker in there. And likewise, the Russians were able to get theirs over here on whatever this is. Sort of the communist area. Kansu. Kangsu, Kansu. 2 different areas, similar names. The charts over here, though, for the Entente position that the Russians have taken, triggered off, what was it, guarantees table over to a diplomatic, to the minor power diplomacy, which ended up triggering Hungary, and that would have possibly started a diplomatic incident table roll. The Axis was able to say, I don't want that right now. There aren't a lot of good events on there when you start looking at it. Maybe if you go back to the guarantee table, good stuff can go, but it doesn't really look like it there. So you end up with neutrality. Okay, that's not terribly a help. Coup d'etat would throw it into the opponent's hands. Free passage might be cool, but it's not really useful right now. Border war ends up giving you them as a minor ally, but they're at war with someone else, and that becomes one of your enemies' allies. Just didn't see a reason to roll on that table, to tell you the truth. I don't want to trigger that at this point. Anyway, that's the end of this turn, and we go into the last of the summer turns. And it flies past very quickly. It just takes me a lot of time to get between turns because there's not a lot going on and not a lot of reason to be sitting here playing. But it could actually fly through very fast if you were playing through this. And not a lot more here in the summer. We finished it up. Moving this forward. We got same real effects for the Axis. Allies, cooling managed to get us what? Well, we got Hope as well. So now we're getting a lot of alliances in here in the East, turning anti-Japanese. And then over in the West, the Russians got finally a success on their collective security card. This is their last shot at it, really. And they got a Western diplomatic. I don't remember I don't remember what it was called. See what it says on here. Looked exciting. Diplomatic success Western 1513. Wow, that sounds cool. So what they do is they end up rolling here on the political events table in the Western region. Over here, if they got a country, then they would have gotten an influence in that country. Or perhaps, in the case of Italy, maybe remove the neutrality or something. But they ended up getting set back, no result. So nothing comes of it. And that kind of what I'm feeling right now is I'm not sure how much is gaining. Certainly there's this build-up to war. The cards are clearly building up towards that. The question is how much am I gaining in any particular turn? Like, you know, this entire summer went by and I don't feel anything has happened really. A little bit of shifting politically here, but not swinging countries over into anybody's camp completely. Just modifiers to die rolls if they are activated, I guess. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to play them. I'm going to load this one up and we'll start on in the autumn and see if that's going to get more exciting. At some point or another, you gotta figure the Japanese have to start this war with China.